All right, Robert, more issues when it comes to the green belt.
Indeed.
And as you shared a couple of articles with me, real estate deals that should have been just gone fine are going wrong because of this whole issue, as you said. This episode of Real Estate Chat with
Robert Eid.
and John Perez, we're going to dive into the backtracking that's going on, which will further complicate the housing situations we face here in Ontario. Let's look at two articles today. The first one here is the Ontario reverses the latest proposal to include greenbelt land in development projects. So if you watched a couple of episodes ago and you've subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any episodes of Real Estate Chat, you recall that Robert and I single-handedly solved the housing crisis by commenting about articles about the greenbelt and how the greenbelt, some of it is being released back into development mode where houses are being built. But guess what's happened since then? The province of Ontario, or rather the Ontario government, is reversing the latest proposal. So the article here we're going to include in the description, but just for the visual, here's the greenbelt. Here's what was released, proposed amendment. And now what they're saying is that, well, you know what? The pieces of this released back to development that are green, it's actually going to go back into greenbelt again, right? So the government's backtracking and saying no longer included in the plan. So that's going to remove, obviously, quite a number of chunks of land in there. And Robert shared this article with me just today. And this one was a pretty interesting one because it was land that was associated with the greenbelt, and now it's listed for sale. Right, so Doug Ford says this land could be returned to greenbelt after learning that it's listed for sale. So apparently, if you bought land from the government or whoever owned it, I guess, and it's been earmarked as greenbelt, and then you want to do something with it, you can't just do something about it. But here, Lake Ridge Road, Kingston Road East, this is in Ajax, beautiful prime piece of property, which, as Robert said, would have been fine, would have been just a good deal for real estate, for development, for purchase, had it not been a part of the greenbelt. And so there's back and forth between the government, between the owner, between the agent. Basically, what the agent's saying is that it's a misunderstanding, that the seller wanted this property advertised because they're looking for a co-venture or a partnership deal with a developer in order for it to actually get built out. I mean, obviously, if the government gave you the opportunity to have land that was taken away from the greenbelt, it should benefit the people, right? So we'll share this article here. There's a picture of Doug Ford speaking with somebody Robert knows. Robert.
I don't know who it is, no.
Robert, what's our
Yes.
take? Like, what's going on?
Well, this releasing portions of the previous too big greenbelt because of their immediate availability to servicing and to be built on has caused quite a kerfuffle because the way it was handled may not have been exactly pristine and perfect and above board, and everybody can see exactly what went on. Because when these lands went under the control of the greenbelt, they became less valuable. So only people with extremely deep pockets and long vision bought them. Like maybe it's a family farm, maybe it's an investment for somebody, who knows? But like the land existed there for a long time, and then it became frozen under the greenbelt. Now, the particular one in Ajax, it's got Lake Ridge Road on one side of it, Kingston Road on the north side of it, and the 401 highway on the south. And it's part of this whole big swath of Duffins Creek that goes from up where the Duffins Creek comes from and goes down to Lake Ontario. It's got 412 highway running through it. It's actually a good one to redevelop because it's next to commercial. It's on the main street. It's back on the main highway. You could put a whole subdivision right there. But it sure smells lousy how they decided that this was going to be released. And when they found it was listed for sale, again, it was unauthorized. It was not listed for sale. It was an ad in the newspaper it was a request for proposals. But yes, there was a real estate broker who had it for sale, offered for sale. So it's the one not next to the highway, but this sort of dark thing there. They say it's number 3, but it's not. It's this dark thing there right next to Lake Ridge Road. So it's a big piece of land that was a farm. Now, if you look sort of kitty corner up, there's a racetracky looking thing. You know that racetracky looking thing? You know, Peacock Downs, and right next to Peacock Downs, there's Ajax Casino. So there's a lot of activity out there already. So this one smells. It shouldn't smell. It should be, if anything's going to come out of the Greenbelt, this is one that should be considered. But the transition from within the Greenbelt to let's see what we can find that we could put on this instead of it laying there as dirt with corn on it to make houses. It was handled badly, and then the media just killed the government on it, and the Auditor General just killed them, and now they're backtracking and they look bad because of their backtracking. So they got a lot of Greenbelt. They got a lot of areas that abut existing subdivisions. They should look at every single one of those pieces and say, let's find 50 potential ones. Let's narrow it down from those 50 to 10 or 15 that could be quickest and most quickly possible serviced and dug and houses built on it, and do it all above board. And so there's no smell of someone's getting a kickback, no smell of anything about it, but just get the land, if it is possible to do, out of the Greenbelt and up for usable space to solve the housing problem.
Well, the interesting thing is this, because at our office, I had one of our fellow agents asking about property, not quite as big as this, but interestingly enough, it fell into this area. And I believe a portion of it was Greenbelt. But some of our real estate chat viewers who like this episode are real estate investors looking for opportunities. And so knowing this, Robert, like this is a massive area within Ajax, and there's a lot of, there's resale for sure, but there's also land that occasionally comes up for sale. If somebody's looking to buy land that maybe touches Greenbelt or is purely Greenbelt, let's say, for example, they want to buy it, hold, maybe it gets put into a whole big parcel when the developer eventually comes and maybe rules change down the road again and it becomes un-Greenbelt. Should somebody look into buying Greenbelt land or something near Greenbelt land, knowing that this may be a possibility?
Well, we never say no to money, and we never say no to cheap land, but you got to have a timetable that's in keeping, as you say, with, is this going to be Greenbelt forever? Is this going to be Greenbelt for 10 years? Can we develop the land in such a way that so that the park is the part that's on the Greenbelt, and we have to have a park dedication somewhere? What can we do with it? Was the Greenbelt an overreach? Yes. Did it solve urban sprawl? No. What do we have instead? Intensification. So Toronto's got to have a 50-year plan, got to have a 100-year plan, because they can't do it for the next 100 years the way they did it the last 100 years.
There you have it. So if you're looking at investment opportunity and the Greenbelt happens to be a part of it, you just got to be very cautious and very determined as far as what strategically you're trying to achieve, and knowing the restrictions that may be placed and some of these issues that may come up. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Bye for now.
See ya.